Hey, family. It's your girl, Nathalie Nelson Parker here. Who are you?
Hey, it's Leon Parker here.
Come on in the room, family. Come on in the room. We are house divided tonight. Everybody knows I'm United Methodist, and Leon is
Christian Methodist.
CME.
We're Methodists.
So he put on his proud.
There's no division.
His proud
I'm
CME HBCU shirt on. So you know, I had to go rep one of our many 11 HBCUs.
Let me just say this before I get in trouble. I am a proud graduate of Miles College in Birmingham, Alabama.
Yes,
we just happen to have 5 institutions of higher learning.
We have 11.
God bless you.
11 HBCUs.
So I am wearing a Lane College shirt.
And I am representing Rust College because they are part of the National Network of Young Adults.
Tell us more about that.
Oh, I love you. Shout out to all our NNYA members. For those of you who don't know, I'm the program coordinator and the curator for the National Network of Young Adults, which represents young adults of color from over 35 HBCUs and seminaries. And Rust College is one of our founding members. They've been with us for the last 3 years. So shout out to all our transformational leaders, our lit leaders all across the country, especially those from RUST. How was your day today?
My day?
Yeah.
Oh, it was pretty good.
You were busy pastoring. Shout out to all the pastors.
How was your day?
Nonprofit leaders. As you guys can see, I was in full mom mode today. This is the Friday mom outfit.
I guess it's the Friday dad outfit.
It was raining, picking up from daycare, doing mom and wifely duties. There's a pile of laundry that I need to get to.
You was hanging out with your mother, too.
And I hung out with my mom. Shout out to Joan Hales Nelson. That is right.
From Jamaica, man.
Jamaica.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Shout out to my mom. She's awesome. All right, everybody, go ahead. Give us some hearts. Give us some love. Share. Let everybody know that Nuggets with Nathalie is on the way. And by popular demand, I have seen your text messages. I've seen the inboxes. There are people who are like, listen, I have a great idea. There's a mission. There's a cause that I want a grant for, but I don't have a 501c3 yet. So we're going to do 2 things today. One, I'm going to walk you through whether your idea, your mission, your cause needs to be a 501c3, a non-for-profit, or can that idea be best lived as a for-profit? And then for those of you, if you say 5 to all these 5 things, yes, I definitely want to go the 501c3 route. Guess what this wonderful, handsome, talented, gorgeous man is going to do?
Hey.
He's going to give you the roadmap. He is going to give you the roadmap to go from idea to 501c3.
Hey,
okay?
Fifi.
So
ITC.
Hey, all our lovely
Yolanda,
people all
Marie,
around the world. Y'all tell me where you are. Drop your cities in the comment section.
Isaiah, Chris Ponder, Miles College graduate. See.
Shout out to all our HBCUs. We love y'all. What cities are you guys representing? I see New York in the house.
Let's see Nashville.
Awesome. See Cali in the house. Shout out to all of you. All right, let's get started. So if you have a wonderful idea, so this is the thing, we're always talking about getting grant ready. January begins grant season for those of us who are nonprofit leaders, church leaders. And so you want to make sure that you increase your funding so that you'll be able to fund the things that make a difference in the lives of the people that you serve and in your communities. And so what we want to do is help organizations get grant ready. All right. So what does that mean? That means that you have all of the necessary pieces, nuts and bolts, information, strategy, so that you can position yourself. Shout out to South Haven Mississippi on the line. I see you. Okay. And so the grants that we're going to talk about for the most part are nonprofit grants. But there are grants available for for-profits. So for example, Leon and I are a great team, but we have two ways that we get grants. And we also have two ways that we operate. So we have the for-profit side and we have the non-for-profit side.
Right.
So for our for-profit side, we still make a difference. We're still making a difference in the lives of people who are vulnerable, who don't have the resources. That for the non-for-profit side, who don't have the resources. But for our profit side, that's where we're able to do trainings, consultation, leadership development. We're able to help other organizations, businesses, and corporations from our for-profit side. Okay. Now, for the nonprofit side, what would you say our nonprofit side really focuses on, babe? Definitely leadership development for youth, young adults, literacy.
I think it even has a religious component.
Internships,
discernment, absolutely.
Right. So you have to make a decision. Whatever it is you are called to do, you need to ask yourself these 5 things, and these are the 5 reasons why you should go not-for-profit route. Shout out to Baby Parker, who won't ever let us.
You remember that man who was on the world news, and his child came into the office,
and the nanny came.
And the nanny came. This is happening right here, live. Hi, Leon.
Come say hi, Leon.
Hi. Come here.
All right. So these are 5 reasons why. Go ahead, give baby Leon some love. He wants to say hi to everybody. Give him some hearts. Look at this face.
Say hi, everybody.
Hi, Bobby.
Yeah.
PJ Masks.
Okay.
Okay, go with Grandma. All right, that's fine. You can stay.
All right.
All right, so these are 5 reasons why you should consider being a 501c3. These are the 5 benefits of being a 501c3. But again, you want to ask yourself a question. Can this idea that I have be monetized or best utilized in the for-profit realm? Okay, these are the 5 things you should ask yourself. Number 1, you should ask yourself, is it best for my organization to have tax exemption? Number 2, and you guys should go back to my post that I did today that had all of this outlined. Number 2, do the people who give to my organization, so my donors, my funders, the people who fund my mission, do they expect and appreciate the charitable donation incentive? If that's the truth, then you need to be 501c3. The third thing you need to ask yourself is my organization the type of organization that will be managed best by a board of directors and by bylaws and really have a community management feel to it? Understanding, though, that also means it's going to take longer for things to get done. You have to onboard. You know, there's more to that management when you're a 501c3 as opposed to a for-profit. So that's what I'm on for.
The other thing to note is that there are a number of different ways that you can apply for your 501c3. Well, you can do 501c1, 501c2, C3. So there are different areas that you can file in for your program. For example, if you are a corporation organized under the Act of Congress, you would file for the 501c1 status, versus if you were someone like us who focuses on religious, educational, charitable, scientific, literacy. If you're focusing on testing for public safety or anything that involves for the betterment of people, children, even animals, you can file for the 501c3 status. So there are a different number or different areas of 501c that you can file for. So, you know, you may not fit the criteria for 501c3, but there are other areas. So I want you to keep that in mind too.
Yes. So if you want those 4 things, you want to have tax exemption, you want your donors or your givers to benefit from the incentive of charitable donation so they could claim it on their IRS at the end of the year. You want to think about, do you want a community management style with the board? 4, you also want to ask yourself, are you... yeah, okay.
Hey.
Baby Parker's really excited tonight. 4, you also want to ask yourself, can you see yourself being anything other than a 501c3? And those are the questions that you want to ask yourself. And again, you can go to my post today where you can see all of that highlighted. And also shout out to all of the zero to funded community who's on the line and who's watching. Shout out to y'all. They got it first. They got it yesterday. So if you want all of our tips, tricks, and templates, make sure that you like NathalieNelsonParker.com, and then you can be added to the zero to funded community, and you get all this information earlier. So that's a thing. So walk us through, babe. So they've answered all of those 5 reasons. They want to have nonprofit status. They want tax exemption. They want charitable donation incentives for the people that give. They want a community board management style, and they can't see themselves operating in their mission other than being a 501c3 status. So now what do I do? Now that I've answered all of those 5 questions and I have this great idea and I want to get grants, but I don't have my 501c3 status or not S Corp or CDC status or all of those different options, what do I do from here? What's step number 1? So this is your roadmap. We're getting in the car, we're buckling our seat. Where's the first place we need to go?
Well, the first thing you need to do is to make sure that you have a clear understanding of your mission, what it is you want to, what?
That's good. Did you take the master class?
Somebody help me. But you want to make sure you have an understanding before you convince other people as far as what you want to do, what your passion is, what your goal is, what you want to start your nonprofit for. So once you have that mission, that goal ready to go, now you need to begin the filing process. And many grant writers will tell you that you need to do some research. See if there is a need in the area you're trying to establish a nonprofit before you go starting a nonprofit. The second thing is to make sure that if there are nonprofits doing the same thing that you want to do, see what their track record is. See what they're doing. If they're doing right, you will see the fruits from their labors. Visit their website, visit their sites, because it could be something where you may not necessarily have to start a nonprofit, but you can partner with that nonprofit, especially if they have the track record. They have a track record and you're starting a nonprofit, you want to be in relation with them for a period of time because they can teach you some things, but also those relationships are very, very important moving forward in the future.
And I think it's also important because it will help you understand your niche. So even though that you guys
your
niche.
Your niche.
Potato. Yeah. So even if like you're doing the same mission, you can determine and identify what is the thing that's going to set me apart. And we talk about that also in the master class. So I'll drop that. It's a free master class. If you're interested in more about how to fund mission, how to identify mission and start, you definitely want to take a look at that NathalieNelsonParker.com master class. So that's good.
So let's move forward. Now, I want you to also understand this. Every state has different rules and guidelines when you are speaking of starting a nonprofit. So since we live in the state of Tennessee, I'm going to use the guidelines for the state of Tennessee that is needed to properly file and start your nonprofit. So the first step is you want to get a name. You want to get a name that's suiting for you and your mission and what you're trying to do with the work of your nonprofit. And so,
where do you go to do that?
Well, first of all, when you get your name, you need to then use the business entity. There's a business entity link located with each governmental agency per state. So Tennessee, Alabama, wherever you're located, you can look up the business entity search, and that will allow you to search for business names. So if you wanted to use the business name Parker Ministries, you could type that in to see if there are any other businesses by that name. If it isn't, then you can move on to the next process. If not, you would have to select another name, of course. But now you want to start building your name. And so the next thing that we would recommend that you would do is to look for URL so that you can be found on the web. And there are different programs and software that you can use for that. You can use GoDaddy, Wix, all those different things to find a suitable URL for your nonprofit. But the next thing is you want to register. You want to register with your state. Your nonprofit needs to be registered. Why? Because you are a legal business entity, no matter what your status is as far as tax or nonprofit or for-profit status. At the end of the day, you are a business. So you must, what?
No, you talking good information. It's some good content.
You must be registered.
I wish I had this. No, I'm sorry. This is good.
And again, all these steps are on your state government's website. And so, again, I'm using the state of Tennessee as a guide, but you all want to make sure that wherever you start your nonprofit, you look for the guidelines and rules and procedures for that particular state. You want to make sure that you select board members and officers. Board members and officers are important, A, because it's their role and duty to help you raise funds. B, it's important for you to empower them to share the message to other people and to share the work that you all are doing in the nonprofit. And it also brings about, with your board and your officers, influence. It helps you build relationships in the community.
Social capital.
Absolutely. But the board, their job is to create policies and to govern the nonprofit. Their goal is also to follow the bylaws to make sure that the business is operating in a superb fiduciary manner.
Come on, accountability.
What you said. So the officers also of the nonprofit are individuals with responsibilities. You have to then, from your board of directors, select officers that can range from the president to the vice president to the secretary to the treasurer. All these people have roles within this particular board or organization. Once you get your board, you also want to develop your bylaws. Your bylaws are very important because that helps you govern yourself as an organization. That's where you adhere to your rules and regulations, policies, and procedures. Okay?
So that's kind of, all of those things are your step one in a sense.
Absolutely.
So that's your step one. So for those of you who are like, oh, that's so much information, we're going to drop a checklist.
Yes.
And the checklist is going to walk you through step one. This is where you go in your state for getting your name, all of that, as well as your EIN.
We haven't even gotten that. The EIN is very, very important.
Right? So all of that is your step one. And now we're going to go to step two, which is like the big stuff, which is going to the IRS and doing, what is that form?
Well, you have to file for an EIN number. An EIN number is basically your social security number with the government that says, hey, you are a business entity, whether you're for-profit or nonprofit, and that's how they recognize you as a business. You also have to have an EIN number if you want to do business with the government. A lot of businesses, for-profit and nonprofits, can be contracted through the state, and they have their own requirements. If you want to become, what would you call it, a vendor?
A vendor, or you want to have a contractor with your local government or even state, you have to go through those processes. So EIN number is that identification number that you need. What else? Step two. So we've gone through the first step of your journey. Make sure your seatbelt's still buckled up. Driving on down, we have our idea, we have our mission, we have gone to the state, we've gotten our name, our paperwork, our board, all of our bylaws, all of those things. Now we're going to step 2. And this is also, again, important for us to get grant ready. I think a lot of people, and you can talk about this more, babe, a lot of people get confused when they get their EIN number and they're officially incorporated. When they fill out that, I think it's 1023.
Yeah, those are two different processes. When you you can file for an EIN online and get it within minutes. But basically, the EIN number is the employee identification number. That's how you, again, identify. But your articles of incorporation, is that what we're talking about?
Step 2? The
actual articles of incorporation. Mm-hmm. The articles of incorporation is a document that you file with the state that says, hey, we declare that we are this organization and we do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And you file that with the state, and upon filing it, the government says, hey, we recognize you as this organization that does A, B, C, D. For example, I am part of an organization in Chicago known as One Church, One School.
Shout out. Wonderful 501c3.
Excellent 501c3. It's been in existence since 1992. We've worked with thousands of children, but it is a community partnership that simply teaches the value of life and the value of learning. And so within our articles of incorporation, One Church, One School, a community partnership program, teaches the value of life and the value of life. That's within our articles of incorporation.
And so what you need to do is go to, and I'm going to put the link again, NathalieNelsonParker.com. There's a grant ready checklist. And what we're doing is just sharing with you 1, 2, and 3, your 3 steps to get you from idea to becoming a nonprofit. And so you go to irs.gov and you go to Form 23, and that's the form to recognize your nonprofit with the IRS, your tax exemption status, and making sure, and let me say this, because a lot of people think because I'm a 501c3 and I don't have to, pay taxes, that I don't have to report. That is not the truth.
Yes, let me tell you about this right now. There's a form. All nonprofits, in order to keep their nonprofit status with the government, you have to file a form called 990. Form 990 is an IRS government form that each nonprofit must file every year. And that's just a simple form just to know what your cash flow is and to
hold you accountable. Particularly for those of us who are getting grant money. You need to report that you're receiving these gifts. And that you're using the gifts accountably to what you said that you would do. And that's a mindset, right? I want us to have a mindset about grants. Everybody's talking about secure the bag, so we secure the grant. But that doesn't mean that we don't have a mindset of understanding that when we are gifted this money,
that when we secure it, we have to be good stewards of it.
Right. And that is a partnership. Like Absolutely. These organizations, these funders, these grantors believe wholeheartedly in the mission that we are, entrusted to do, and they align with our mission. And so it's a partnership, right? It's not just money bags flowing on top of us and then you go take vacation. No, it's to do work that is making a difference. And I take it so seriously. Like everybody knows, I come from Far Rockaway, New York, and there were, shout out to Far Rockaway. Yeah, I ain't always from the hood. but there were opportunities that made such a difference in my life, mm-hmm. right? And so I take it very seriously. So whatever your mission is, wherever God is calling you to serve, whatever you have a passion to do and to be and to make an impact in the world, understand that grants are just a vehicle for you to be able to touch lives, meet needs, and ultimately give God
some glory. Yes.
Amen. And I'm excited. I hope for those of you who've kind of been in ideation for a long time, you needed to start the after school program or do scholarships for people who are getting ready to go to college, or make sure that there are veterans who have houses. Whatever it is that you have been thinking about, understand that the only thing that is stopping you from doing what you're called to do is 1, information, 2, strategy, and 3, support. And so that's why we're coming on live to help you with those 3 things. And again, you can go back to the grant checklist, and we'll put the link in the comment section. So we went already from step 1, step 2, and now we're going to close it out with step 3. So after I've gotten my EIN, I have my name, I've recognized through my state, and I've gone through IRS, and now I have filled out form 1023, and I have my tax exempt status in limbo. This is step 3. Step 3 is very important because it's about that follow-up game. Just because you submitted the paperwork to the IRS doesn't mean you stop there. You actually need to get something back from them. And this is the last step to say you did it. You've reached your destination from idea to 501c3.
So yeah, you wait for the letter. The letter will say, hey, such and such organization, you have been granted whatever status you have sought, 501c3, 501c1, 2, whatever. And so then now that makes you officially a not-for-profit organization. Now there's still more work. So in step 3, you need to go set up a bank account, because how can you receive grants and funds for your charitable organization if you do not have an accountability system lined up? So you would take that letter, you would go to the bank, because the bank will allow you to open a bank account as a nonprofit, and that's very, very important when it comes to people's tax write-offs and other, I don't want to say perks, but other incentives that
for
come
your
with it.
Tax exempt status.
Absolutely, and then it also helps you to get some kind of accountability system. Now we use in our charitable organization, One Church, One School, we have an accountant who files our 990s, who does payroll, and that's just the way it's been for 27 years. But we are very, very accountable with the programming and even the funding that goes behind the programming to let our donors and our supporters know that we are good stewards of what they bless us with.
Awesome. All right, any questions? We have shared with you the 3 steps and the many steps in between on how to go from idea to 501c3. Any questions?
So I'm going to go over it again as far as the actual process of thinking this through to the bylaws into the actual organization. Step 1, develop the idea. Do the research. See if there's a need. Make sure there aren't any other non-for-profits that are doing what you want to do. If they are, can you partner with them? So that's step 2. 1 into step 2, do your research. Step 3, figure out a name and register your organization. Step 4, get your board of directors set up. Those who are like-minded, those who are popular personalities, as we would like to say, who have influence in the community, who can help you with your mission. Step 5, incorporate the nonprofit organization, your articles of incorporations. Step 6, get your EIN set up. Then your bylaws, your tax exempt status should then be filed, and it should come back from the federal government granting you permission to operate as a not-for-profit organization. Get your bank account set up, get your website set up, get your mission out, get your team, and then go to work.
Go to work. And then, my brothers and sisters, beautiful people, world changers, you can hashtag secure the grant.
Yes.
Awesome. All right.
But now you can't.
All right. Any questions before we go enjoy our family night? It's movie night.
Any questions? Hold tight.
In the Parker house. Any questions about how to go from zero to funded, from idea to 501c3? All right, awesome. All right, guys, well, I have dropped your grant ready checklist link. You can go, and those 3 steps are the first step in the grant ready checklist to help you. And there's actually the links to the 1023 form that you need to do with the IRS. Again, you're going to start with your state website to know what the state requirements are for your 501c3 status. And like Leon said, that's really going to Pastor Parker. That's really going to be something that the first step is something that you do online. And then that second step is going to be more detailed. So go ahead, NathalieNelsonParker.com, get your grant ready checklist for free. Put your email in, it will send it directly to your inbox. And you'll get other tips, tricks, and templates to help you go from zero to funded. Well, if you're catching this on replay, don't be ashamed. Go ahead, drop your questions in the comments. You can always inbox us, DM us, join the Zero to Funded community where we're just loving on people every day. There's so many great world changers. I was like going through everybody and like seeing what they're doing, and it's really, really amazing. All of the great people that are in the Zero to Funded community, where we're all on a mission to maximize our mission, increase our funds, and make our nonprofit more profitable. Whether you're individual leader, church leader, or a leader of a nonprofit. So definitely join that community for some more support.
Let's go secure the grant.
Let's go secure the grant. Love y'all.
Love y'all. Bye.
As my coach would say, that's it. That's all. So the clock on the wall. Peace out.
Deuces.